So this Andrew downpour.
I've seen it happen to my friends. Maybe there's some comics that are getting like too famous off YouTube or something too quick, and that starts to happen.
God, he's got a case of the yes. Everyone around's like, yeah.
This podcast for me has gone from me not being able to miss an episode to not being able to watch one for more than 10 minutes.
This start better talking.
Gotten completely out of control, and it's basically turned them into 4 douchebags who just love to sit there smelling each other's farts and act completely fake. They really don't seem interested in the guests anymore and seem more interested in what each other thinks instead.
As usual, when something is one of the biggest podcasts in the world, it changes from what it once was, and fans begin to comment in droves with every complaint under the sun. But as we saw in the opening clip, nobody fits more accurately to what Whitney and Bill said about YouTube comedians than Schulz, with a lot more subscribers than most of his peers and quite the attitude shift from 4 years ago before he blew up. Much of their audience was gained with Schulz's crowd work ability going viral, and his choice to channel his stand-up into fast-paced videos during the pandemic helped him blow up to a massive level.
TikTok.
The podcast's electric intro monologues, great editing, it helps set it apart, but since their increase in fame, the new studio, it just hasn't felt the same. Filled with knee slapping, brimming with fake laughs, even interrupting guests so often their audience defended DJ academics of all people in their
they get the most views.
own comment section. Tons of comments from fans complaining where older episodes are almost entirely positive. The worst part, however,
apparently one of them is about to be passed out.
Try one of these.
No,
Try it.
No,
Will you just try it?
I got addictive personality for real.
This is not going to make you addicted.
No. Like I have a really addictive
You're not going to be addicted. It's such a stupid
They're just kind of wrong.
thing to think.
And when you see
Also,
me,
you're probably an alcoholic anyway.
Shouldn't be pressuring into drink drugs.
So what are you concerned about?
joke or not, pressuring a man who is currently drinking to assumably fall back into nicotine addiction. I love dark humor, but I'm failing to see the joke there.
I'm one day off and I want to smoke a bowl out of my own nuts.
Between podcasters, academics, most young people now, or just most people I or you know, nicotine addiction is everywhere in many forms. I mean, just look at Brendan Schaub's cheeks. Anybody who has ever danced with a demon knows it's incredibly difficult to quit. Arguably, it's one of the most addictive substances on the planet, with tons of criticism towards Schulz for the clip. While it might sound like a nanny state comment, 2024 YouTube is strict as hell compared to back in the golden age. Schulz didn't declare Zyn pouches to be a sponsor in the video, description, or anywhere online,
That's why Stucker concentrate.
and tried to relentlessly push it on his guest and claim it's not addictive. Comedy gag or not, that would break medical misinformation and undeclared sponsorship guidelines. Hopefully I'm wrong, as I don't want any channel deleted, but they might be flying close to the sun on that one. But big channels allegedly have more leeway than others, as was seen with Sniper Wolf
Alright,
doxing Jack's film's address and
Charlie got demonetized.
receiving little punishment compared to other channels in the past, so maybe he'll be fine. Schulz and touching his guest over and over, however, god damn. If Akash's knee isn't close enough, the guest is done for. Leave it up to the truth-teller comedians to suck up to an influencer
Yeah, what is going on in this mind right there?
scumbag for the entire podcast.
I'm telling you, it's those pecs, bro.
You got it. Oh shit. They trying to tell you shit.
Amber Alert.
Amber alert for sure.
I gotta get out of here, boys. Do your sign off.
Okay.
No, don't take that.
This really didn't help Schultz's image, as people saw it as using Logan for clout and ignoring the tough questions. The opposite of what these comics aspire or claim to be.
Andrew Schulz and Akash Singh are some of the biggest snakes on YouTube. Them and their whole team are flagrant. Myron, you are a sensitive, talentless, bottom-feeding grifter. Your life's work is renting women and regurgitating other people's talking points. Your arms are not developed enough for the shirts you wear, and your co-host is pimping you.
Okay, the thing is not true.
Merry Xmas.
Myron does have a point that pretty much every podcast comedian would have had a much longer road to success without being a friend of Joe Rogan's. Myron is still trying to fight Schulz, Penguin Zero, and ABBA over words and hurt feelings. Very alpha, of course. Akash dissed Fresh and Fit to their face for being less evolved than the average man, and they did
See
nothing.
them evolutionary charts from Neanderthal to Homo sapien?
Yeah.
Y'all are the first motherfucker out of Neanderthal. But grow with your audience. Mature with your audience as you work on yourself.
And Akash is someone who cries when one member of the audience doesn't laugh at his jokes, so
Did that guy suck for all of you guys sitting here picking his calluses on his hand for 10 minutes? Just go. Who gives a And then I just lost it. I was like, yo, my
What is this guy on about?
my jokes. This guy.
What the?
Those two even ending up on Flagrant at all is exactly why
Even LeBron is shocked.
older fans don't enjoy the show as much. It's more of a product of a great marketing team than raw comedy talk like previously. There's a major focus on landing the most viral guest, and whoever they hired in the last 2 years or so for marketing has definitely helped push it to major audiences, with a complete overhaul of thumbnail approach, titles, tons of sponsors, production quality, endless giggling goons on the couch. It's all the way optimized, which is a fair way to go about it, make it a business, but when it comes to comedy, genuine and funny wins, so many would rather now just put on the Monday Morning Podcast or Matt and Shane's secret podcasts, which are insanely successful without the Mr. Beast-esque approach to marketing the video.
You guys have overcomplicated the podcast. Well, everybody
Yeah,
wanted
I hate that. All editing
to
shit.
be on the Tonight Show, so you made your own Tonight Show. Look at this.
For you.
got stage lighting and shit. This is hilarious.
But you kind of did this. That's the thing.
But I didn't do this.
Schulz himself also changed his approach and how brazen he'd be with guests, knowing that awkward moments go viral, but he doesn't have the charisma of a Patrice O'Neill or even Tim Dillon to be likable while disrespectful. So even in his Whitney episode, who isn't the most popular figure in comedy, people turned on Schulz for being a whereas Tim Dillon was praised for finding ways to roast slyly or just bluntly telling the truth about the difference between Hollywood comedians that require the industry approval to survive and Patreon comedians who make $200K a month. But just like how the early episodes of Joe Rogan Experience were a lot more raw, loose, and fun when nobody was listening, it's hard to avoid changing as your show goes from no listeners to millions upon millions. Flagrant just needs to tone it back.
You gotta try Sugon with a girl.
What's Sugo?
That's where you sug on his dick. Dude. Idiot, I hate you. You're fucking gay. You're so
What is this laugh?
gay.
Yo, how did you fall for that, Shane?
No other podcast laughs so goddamn hard at nothing burger jokes.
So childish.
And it simply wasn't this bad before the channel was clearly optimized top down for the biggest audience possible. Tim Dillon or Bill Burr let it flow naturally and let the dead air happen, but with Flagrant, I mean, there's 86 of you on the couch waiting to all get your points out. There's no room for comedic pauses that allow the hosts to talk like human beings, and it's just awkward for the guest, as many comments have pointed out, as many now struggle to even get a word in. Or maybe it's just the post-Weimar youth cut that's causing all this trouble for Andrew. And a normal
What is this cut?
fade would resolve these behaviors and
It's just copy.
restore order in the known universe. As Cat Williams just said to 25 million viewers in a day,
On Joe Rogan. Joe don't want me on there. I need to be on Shannon. Joe got 6 comedians that never been funny. He want to push out.
there's a big difference in talent between the GOATs and most podcast comedians, and just like Schaub and Callan's declining numbers online and at shows, a relationship with Joe Rogan only takes you so far. Schulz has the benefit of better marketing and guests than The Fighter or The Kid or many other podcasts, but his diva behavior change compared to before his podcast blew up will only become more and more noticeable to more fans as time goes on.
I have everything I need, and I'm not happy as angst.
Feel.
Whoa.
Schultz epiphanies are my favorite.
Yo.
He repeats his statement. He's like,
That's crazy, though.
And by lots of YouTube channels who are starting to become acknowledged by the podcasters.
Steve-O.
Not only am I happy for Too Lazy to Try to have his video, so I'm not going to challenge anything.
That's nice.
I'm sitting here promoting it. And I like it was gonna hurt my feelings. I know probably too much to actually watch it.
Podcast Cringe is hitting big numbers doing exactly that, criticizing him for slyly misdirecting his audience, thinking they were getting an exclusive, uncensored special that was only available for 2 weeks, but really it would be on YouTube for free only a month after. Louis C.K. did this strategy first and without annoying fans.
Actually, scammers.
For specials or great shows like Horace and Pete, fans were happy the money wasn't getting cut with network executive bastards, and it wasn't put out for free right after and wouldn't be on YouTube for at least a few years, until the companies relax and collect the ad revenue from whoever posts full specials or episodes. Schulz half played the Louis strategy and even had a goddamn gambling sponsor in the middle of his special, which I completely forgot about. Entirely shameless, and has to be the first time in a special that a comic's been that dough driven. Definitely going to be harder to play that trick on your audience next time, but hey, we'll leave it to Bill Burr to sum up the situation perfectly.
I find people that
aren't that good are the ones who actually take the trip. Bill Murray said one time, he used to give people 3 years. And he was like, after 3 years, if you're still an asshole, then you're an asshole.
That is cute though.
Everybody's blowing smoke, he's floating up. We're gonna see if he comes back down again. 3 years later, he's still up there, half that guy.
Okay, dia udah ding deh.